What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Papa Roo, coming at you. Hey, I want to do this video because it's just another motivating and encouraging topic that I believe is going to help many of our brothers and sisters out here. You know, Kevin Samuels, you either love him or you hate him. Many women hated him. He had a very interesting topic that I want to kind of open up and expose to show you that though he was mentioning about the high value man, he was only talking about the 3 and the 1 percenters. Sad to say, though, that the 97% of those who would be considered lower than high value got themselves caught up in a mix of thinking that they were less than based off of what he said. I want to just, bring some facts to you all because our women and our men have got it twisted on Kevin Samuels and his message only to a small segment of people. But he was bringing the message to educate people of that, especially women. If a high value man is what you want, according to him and his clients that he had, these were the criteria that these men were looking for. And I watched my young sisters, my middle-aged sisters, even my older sisters who got twisted because they felt that the ranking they were given definitely did not apply to them. Papa Roo got something for you, baby girl, because, Kevin Samuels spoke a lot of truths, but there are a lot of things I didn't agree with. Just like everybody else, you'll never find everything 100 that you agree with somebody. Because I believe you valuable. I don't care if you rate yourself a 10. Now, he would argue that. We're going to show one of his videos of who he decided to categorize what is a high value man. And even our young brothers ran off with the idea, calling themselves high value, alpha males and all these things here. And I'm sitting here to tell you, they're not. Majority of them aren't. If you're going to go off for the label, the title that they came up with to define what makes that. Kevin Samuels did not care about the average Joe Blow. He only cared about what he believed he was categorized in as being considered, according to him, that was created in the 80s as being a high value. I watched probably majority of his videos, critiqued them as well as agreed with them. And when I watched my sisters, my young daughters, my middle-aged daughters, and my older sisters and get twisted and begin to get caught up in a drama that they felt as though that they were less than, Papa Roo got something to share with you. Let's get to his video. Let's get to his video real quick. So we're going to see what Mr. Samuels actually defined as a high value man.
High value man, 6 components, $10,000 a month or more. Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Atlanta dollars, cost adjusted for your city. If you live in New York, you need more. You need to earn that money for 3 to 5 years. You need to have a network of high value men and other people. High value men must recognize you as a peer or potential peer. Okay. You must have a visible kind of LinkedIn. You must be LinkedIn visibility. You can't just say I'm an entrepreneur. Much better to say I'm VP of Mergers and Acquisitions at Goldman Sachs. And 6, you are of use for others into the group. High value men, 6 components.
You heard the definition. Now, the question of it is, if it didn't apply to you, why would one get upset if you couldn't obtain that man? Because most women felt that, what is it that they can get them a high value man? And he always asked the question, what's your dress size? How much did you weigh last time you weighed yourself? From 1 to 10, without using 7. How would you rate yourself coming out of the shower with no makeup, anything? And those questions caused many women to fall in a pothole. And then it made many young men and I say young, I'm 60 years old. So when I'm talking about young men, it's those who are in their 40s on down that they were running around talking about their high value, even though they didn't even fit the criteria. You know, I'm going to say this right here because I'm going to speak to the women first. I happen to have 3 daughters. If my daughter came to me and said, Daddy, am I valuable? And I would say, baby girl, you are valuable. Daddy, why am I valuable? Well, what do you have to give or offer? That makes your value. You know, I know some men's going to disagree. Oh, there's this simp guy called Paparoo, and he's up here going against, not going against anything because, hey, Kevin Samuels exposed the mindset of a lot of the young ladies out here who had the idea that based upon what they rate themselves, they can get a high value man, which I don't believe in that title, but they can get a high value man because even I call it this right here. When you are in a circle of groups, organizations, clubs, you know, whether it might be, you know, whatever echelon of within that, most people feel good. Whether you want to say you're a part of the Masonic Lodge, the Elk Lodge, you know, you got a sisterhood, you got fraternities and sororities. Everybody out here is fighting to be part of something to feel special. And they've created this whole categories, all of these categories, so that you can feel special, wanted, having something somebody else don't have, making you feel important. In other words, pumping that ego, pumping your ego so that you can exclude other people who don't fit the bill to make you feel like you're something. Now, I'm not going to bad mouth Kevin Samuels. No, he had a YouTube channel, entertainment, that he hit a subject matter that brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars for himself and brought in a whole lot of hundreds of thousands of viewers. Everybody would love to be in that position. It was controversial. Some say it was maybe, you know, male chauvinistic or misogynist or, you know, all these names that people will call if the bill don't fit, you got to get. And that's what many of the sisters, I'm going to get with the brothers here in a minute, because even me and my son have conversations about what everybody's talking that rhetoric of what Kevin Samuels is saying. The guys are, but he's talking against you. He done left you as the average guy. He said you're not high value. So the sisters, you need to understand, because many of our sisters don't have fathers. They have daddy issues. They don't have dads to tell them you are valuable and special. I tell my daughters that. And sometimes when I tell them when something they get themselves caught in, like some knucklehead joker, you are better than that. You are greater than that. Nothing against him. He's just who he is. But for you, you are special. It could be going to college and struggling in class. Look, what you tripping for? You think grades will validate who you are? Do you think that because there are systems in place, SATs, ACTs, you know, you got to compete out here. You don't get the gold medal. You go and apply for a job and you don't get it. And you thinking that you are not valuable? You think that because of a system that laid out things in place to categorize people, to place people, to grade people, that you believe that? Now, don't get me wrong, brothers and sisters, don't get me wrong, because when you decide that if you're going to grade yourself, you got to be honest. Women, you got to be honest. I have no problem if an overweight woman who might be a 5 in looks, as they would say, and says she's a 10. I don't have any problem with that. Do you know how many women I see married that are overweight? And in my eyes, their looks are not as pleasurable as some others. But guess what? Some man, her husband, found her valuable, highly valuable. Why? Because that's the ultimate goal of a relationship, is deciding that two people are going to become as one and hopefully build. Man, that's high value. Why? Because what you bring to the fishing hole determines what you catch. Now, I enjoy fishing. I taught my kids how to fish. And I want to give you this analogy. The analogy is that pick the hole where you want to go fish according to the bait you are. You know, as one thing I learned about fishing, you just can't drop any bait in the water and thinking you're going to get the best and the biggest fish or a certain type of fish. You just can't go during any time of day and drop the bait and figure that you can just get any type of fish that you can get. No, you must know what it is that the fish wants and at what time they want it. If you don't understand that, you're going to leave and go home with your bucket empty with no fish. This is the problem that I see when women want to consider themselves to be at a certain level and they can't catch a man. And that's what I love what Kevin Samuels was doing, was he was only bringing out the fact that, look, if you're going to grade your own report card, I always say that, I tell my kids that, number one, you can't grade your own report card. But if you're going to do it, you got to be strictly honest with yourself. Because if you don't, then you're just going to walk out your days and not get and achieve the very things that you want. I mean, isn't it? Come on, y'all, let's be real. If you were going for a job, wouldn't you want to know what the standard is, the prerequisites, the requirements? Wouldn't you want to know what they're looking for? Why would you want to go into an arena, let's just say men who are high earners, and not know the type of women they're looking for? That would be foolishness and waste of time. You would want to know how to put your best foot forward so that you can grab that joker at the moment of time it is. Now, I know that some would disagree with, well, why they got to be a scale and why does it? Because it's just how it is. Come on now. I haven't met a mother yet, and I know there might be a minority of women, mothers, but I haven't met a mother nor a father look at their child and say, you show is ugly. I have never seen that. Parents find their children to be very special. Now get this right here. Think about this. Can you imagine how do you tell your child that they're not special? They're not valuable. How do you tell your child that? You'd be crazy to tell your child they're not valuable when they are. But how is it that a grown man on the YouTube can go ahead and share with people this thing and people get in an uproar? Especially the women I'm speaking of. And women, you got to understand. I went to the Super Bowl last night, right? Went to a place to watch the Super Bowl. And of course, as usual, sisterhood hanging out together. And so I'm very observative and I watch people. I'm looking at the hands, seeing if they are married. And I like to do that because I'm kind of curious of, okay, they're all sitting over here at this table. They're sitting over that table. They're sitting over the table. I'm sitting around the bar. I got there early because I wanted to get up close to the TV. And I'm thinking, surely not all these women got men. And somebody never told them even how to hunt, because we got videos out there that women say men don't approach, men don't approach. And so I had to put my hat on, because I may not look as good and youthful as I used to back in the day, but boy, I could pull my share of women, and I studied them. I studied women, and women are different than they were back in the day. And you would think our elder women would tell them some of the ways of how to attract men and what men like, especially if they have been in a dating field for some years. But I'm at this place and I'm looking around and I'm like, I'm sitting here. I met some brothers at the bar, right? Watching the game. And I'm checking out these women sitting at the table by themselves. And I'm thinking, like, wow, I wonder if they got people in their lives. I wonder if they got men. And what a waste of an opportunity to come to a place if one's complaining that men don't approach, the dating is dead and all that right there. And yet you get to the game before, after it starts. Majority of those women who came in after the game started. And I'm thinking, the bar is always the first place you try to hit first to get your seat. And some women already know this. But when you do sisterhood, you set yourself up. And because I know the history of women, I got female friends, and I've used to run and date a lot of women. But women do not understand how men operate. For the first foremost, men operate when they want to go to a bar, they're going to sit at the bar. Anything else, if it's still all taken, men are going to be at tables. But here's the thing. Question is, should women approach men? I'm going to say, if you can't shoot your shot, something is wrong. If men had to go out their way, walk across the room, because you're looking at a man who used to love dancing, but walk across the room to ask a woman if she wants to dance, and she says no, like the whole club, or ooh, she told him no, and then you got to walk all the way back. But I had a way about that, because it didn't bother me if a woman said no. I'll ask her friends. Y'all women are coming out to have fun, to dance, whatever. Typically, I'm going to get a dance. But sisterhood has changed today. Sisterhood worries about their own friends, of what they're going to say, and don't want to leave them and go out and enjoy themselves, enjoy herself on the dance floor. It's a shame. And so then they rather come alone and leave alone as a group. Terrible. All because women don't even understand men. Men are always, you will not find a man to reject a woman if she came up to talk to him. It's just not going to happen. He might be a little leery of what your motives are. I ain't been in the dating game in a long time, right? It's been 10 years. I have never seen any man, when a woman come up to introduce herself or be inquisitive of who you are or what have you, I've never seen a man say, leave me alone. Men are open for conversation. And I wonder why women don't approach men in that way. Men, I'm about to get to you, because many of you men don't even know how to get the woman that you want. And it's simple. Hey, look, I'm about to have my website up probably here in the next month, because I'll be doing consultations too. Consultations in a sense of helping people, not just in relationships. You're looking at the man, who's got plenty of businesses, budgets and finances, and invest in all of these things to help our people get to the next level. And there's very few people out here who's lending it to them, who's helping them. Very few people. And it's going to be a very cheap cost to it. And I'm only going to put a cost to it because people waste your time when you give them something free. Put a price tag on it. Oh, people are willing to pay who are serious. So women, they sit back and they just say comments like, men just watch, they just look, they don't come up and talk, they just look. And I'm saying, why didn't you get up to go speak to him? Especially if you're out and you see somebody you may be interested in. Let me peep game to you women real quick, all right? Because I'm a man and I got daughters, I got female friends. I know how women operate. I don't care how you look. A man will entertain your company. Now, if he's there on a prowl, I would say don't invade his space for too long, because then you handicap him just like you wouldn't want a man handicapping you. Come over what you got to say, have a little spill. You can even ask, do you mind if I sit here? You mind for a little company? If he says yes and he invites you, yeah, and he's like, no, I'm waiting on somebody. No, I'm just going to chill by myself. Cool. But what did you do while you were there if you're interested in the guy? I'm going to tell you, if you don't carry business cards around, and I ain't talking about if you got a business. I'm talking about where you work too. I don't care if you work at McDonald's. I don't care if you work at the administrative office or you work at a corporation institution. You should always have a business card with your name and where you work, and maybe what you do. Why? Because it's all about networking. Everybody talk about networking, but we've made this whole thing of going out like it's supposed to be like, okay, I'm only looking for somebody to be with, instead of, no, I need to get to know people. Why? Because I do business everywhere. I might have to go to Social Security office. I might have to go downtown to the administrative office. I might have to go to a hospital. And the more and more you meet people, and you be like, whoa, you work where? Man, then you get now all of a sudden you have a connection in that place, even if it doesn't go anywhere. But women don't even understand that the easy way to get in is business card, and then ask him, you got a business card? Or he should ask you, whether vice versa, whoever's approaching who, but about the business card. It's the easy way. But yet we are so challenged in this whole makeup of dating and approaching that we can't even talk no more to each other. It's sad that we don't even dance anymore. And I was a dancer. I lived on the dance floor. So then there's a less social interaction now that happens when you're out and about and everybody just sits at their table. Men ain't intermingling with women, women ain't intermingling with men. And it's sad. It's really sad that we just can't have just platonic conversations with people. Men, because Kevin Samuels, his whole show, 90% of his show was always catered for the high value man. And young men today have taken his message and now beating it across the head of the women as though that the man is high value and she's less value. When Kevin Samuels was never talking to you. Matter of fact, he called you average. Matter of fact, Kevin thought himself as a high value man. And if you didn't meet his criteria that the video that I showed, you were less than. Because I'm going to tell you this right here. All day, every day, I'm a 10 and I'm high value. And why is that? Because my wife said yes. I'm very valuable high value to my wife. She saw the pros in me and she also saw the cons. But really what has kept us married for these 10 years is that we are able to complement each other off of those pros and cons. The value that you bring is the most important key. Nobody, baby girl, nobody, baby boy, should ever tell you that you are less than. And why would you entertain somebody or listen or watch, get mad if somebody say, sorry, you don't make the cheese? Because it happens in society. Sorry, kid, you're not good enough. Come on. Haven't we been through that? The criterias of life, the categories of life. Sorry, that credit score is just not high enough. Yeah, but you don't know that I went through loss of a job. I couldn't pay my bills and that. Sorry, we can't deal with you. You're not good enough. The college you applied for? Sorry, we're not going to accept you. Your GPA was just not high enough. The SAT score, the ACT score was just not high enough. Sorry, kid, look elsewhere. Yeah, but it's been my dream to get into Harvard and Yale or, to get into Clark Atlanta, get into Spelman, to get into, Howard University or get into these. Sorry, you're not good enough. Hello there, dear Paparoo. Hey, just calling you, just let you know that you didn't get the job. Sorry, hey, you was in the running and the making, all that right there. But we decided to take a different action, and we decided, and then you get the other call. We decided to go a different direction. So you can come pack up your stuff and you can go ahead and clear out your desk and all that right there because we just we appreciate the time we gave you, but we're moving on. We're somewhere else with somebody else. And then people mope and feel less than. But see, I'm saying that when Kevin Samuel's message was only for the 3% of who he said was high value, why is it that the women got twisted? Why is these men out here when 95% of men in America makes $50,000 or less? If you make over that, you become to step into the 7% and the 10%. But the majority, they're making middle income $50,000 to $55,000 or less. So why would then our young men running around saying they're high value if they're going by off of Kevin Samuel's list of things? And I'm about to show a video of what he says a high value woman is, because I listened to some women. I got the PhD. I'm calm. I'm fit. I'm cooperative. I'm disciplined. I'm all these things that he says that I am. So now you get the arrogance award. Your ego now has sprung out of the sky. You now think that you are better than somebody else. Women will tell you that. And other women don't even realize they're telling them that. I'm leveling up, I got my PhD, my master's, and I have achieved many things. I'm not like them down there, who's got the bachelor's, associates, or high school. This goes all over the place. And then thinking you've reached some level to where you will diss other people. This is sad. This is very sad. And so I wanted to do this video because of the fact that when Kevin Samuels, who rest in peace, laid out his whole show in The Modern Day Woman, The high value man. He drew in tens of hundreds of thousands of people to come join in on the discussion. Now, what do you think for those who are watching? I see 4 people coming in. Who's in? Give me a thumbs up or give me a thumbs up and like. Also, for anybody out there, call in because you're special. You're high value. Call in at 615-818-5066. And I'm going to put the link in the chat for those who wants to come on. You agree with me or you disagree with me? Go ahead, say your piece. I think we're all adults here, and I hope that you know, when you realize, when you mature and realize that your accomplishments, the things you went for, were for you. But we realize there are things that we tried to go for that we did not get. So what is the bearer of the truth? Is it your failure or your winner? You know, I like to say when I was coaching high school basketball, you know, I don't never lose. And when I was coaching the guys, you know, because I did guys, and then I did girls. I moved out of state and went to another high school. I did 3 different high schools, but I decided I was going to coach girls. But when I was with the guys, and I tell them, I ain't never lost a basketball game. Never from my players. So they was like, Coach, please, we wasn't they going to kill you? Let's go. And we go at it. And of course, by the numbers, he won. And I would always tell them, do you really think you won? An 17-year-old whippersnapper jump out the gym, fast and quick, or tall, or short and quick, and you think you won the game? I said, let me share something with you. I scored against you. I got rebounds against you. I got steals against you. I wanted to make sure when I played, I got all the stat range that was important, that we kept eyes on players. You let a man who is double your age, almost triple your age, stat across all categories, and you think you won? You see, when you have a perception like that, I'm telling you, nothing stops you. And that's how I do it when I go for business approach, when I approach businesses, when I'm approaching, investments, when I'm approaching, property, when I even approach with my family. Everything that I touch turns to gold. Everything. Now, people want to hold you back and say, and want to equate it and quantify or qualify it to make it seem as though that you didn't do nothing. Oh, no. Oh, I did something. First and foremost, I started it. You know how many people don't even start? Second of all, I maintained it or ran it. Third of all, I built it. See, we can be looking right here at the screen. We can say, man, and I know people flip by and they're gonna be like, this dude out here talking, man, and he only got 4 subscribers or four people watching. It's a new channel. There are those from my other channel who I told them about coming over, and I'm going to start this sometime soon. And many are going to join, but there are going to be a whole lot more going out when you start to share the video and you want somebody to be inspired, motivated, and encouraged. When you see that the truth of the matter, when I start talking, and if you apply some of those gold nuggets, you're going to see a change. It's when it becomes valuable, because everything I touch turned to gold. And the most beautiful thing of life is when you get yourself out of the mindset of what success and failures are. Because when you think that you embarked on something and you started, and we don't have the endurance, we don't have the tenacity, we don't have the patience to continue till it flourish. We have to continue till it flourishes and then maintain it, build it, and keep it until that wave runs out, because everything has a season. And when you're in your season, enjoy it. When the season goes and it dies out, be thankful. But many of our people fall short of that because of the fact that, they were never taught that. Many people aren't built for, having the patience, and, even though you can build yourself into that. But I've watched a lot of hurt women on Kevin Samuel's show. And I blame society, their parents, their friends who have really did lie to them. When I know I watch sisterhoods and I watch brotherhoods, and even brotherhoods today can't even be real and honest with each other. So sensitive. But I understand the dynamics because many don't have fathers. Fathers are the ones who's supposed to toughen you up. You see, I got a story for you. When dad should keep it real. Mama just licks up the wounds and go ahead and coddle them and say, Daddy, hey, what your daddy said was true, but you know what? Wipe your eyes, get yourself together, okay? We love you and you're fine, you're great, you're this and that. That's what mama's supposed to do. But mama's now in a position now is like, she got to go ahead and try to deal with these bad old teenagers. Well, that's worst phases. Oh my God, I don't want to deal with teenagers. But so that mothers don't want to hurt their children, they rather refrain from telling the truth of the matter. You see, my daughter, that's the story I was going to tell you. My daughter told me about a year ago that when they were young, I was the one who caused my daughter, her sister, traumatic stress. So how did I cause her traumatic stress? She said, because I remember, Daddy, when you told her that she was getting big and she needs to go ahead and stop eating so much. I said, yeah, I remember that day. I remember she was probably about 7. She was active playing little sports, but she ate more than what she, was supposed to be eating. And so I said, I remember that day. So she was like, yeah. And you know what? I believe it affected her to this day. For real. Well, let me tell you something. Your sister works out, don't she? Yeah. Beautiful. She's fit. She goes to the gym and works out. And you know what? Her working out, and she's even conscious about her fitness. She eats healthy. And you think for one moment you're going to tell me I caused distraught and strain? Now, as a father, I got on the phone to call her and talk to her about that moment. And so, fathers, we know, good fathers, we don't want to break our children and cause them to be traumatized. What we want to do is motivate and encourage them. And sometimes our masculinity is going to hit in a way because we're not mamas and we don't need to be mamas. And mamas need to understand men will be men. Fathers are going to be fathers. You don't need a limp wrist, jelly back, soft spined brother, father, uncle, whomever to sissify, water down their children. No, because the world ain't gonna do it. So I got on the phone with my daughter and I talked to her about it, and I said, look, let me tell you something, all right? It was never my intentions to hurt you. You know that, and I told you that. She said, I don't know why are you bringing this up? I said, because your sister brought it up. I didn't know whether or not y'all were talking, but it had an impact on you. And look at you now, Miss Health Nut. working out, engaged, going to be married this year. Interesting. So, yes, sometimes, telling the truth can be very painful, but we know that it is all in the softness. You got to soften it down, especially to children, especially to those who are very sensitive, because some can't handle it. Me, on the other hand, I tell my wife right here, look, if you see me step out of line, you better slap the hell out of me. Wake me up. If you see I am faltering, if I've walked out of the lines of who the most create, the most high, the creator, in what I've been living by, you better slap the hell out of me. Now, I know being abusive ain't a way to do, but that's what I would appreciate. Give it to me raw. Yo, what you doing? You're contradicting the very thing that you said you're supposed to be following, and you doing this. She's not that type of woman, though. And that's why I had to tell her, don't you dare sit by and watch me be in error. Because you got a high value man and you a high value woman, because you said I do. And I asked you. So, brothers, do not get tripped off of the fact that just because you make less than what is told to you, the amount of over 100,000 plus, you got to have a network of friends and peers who look at you as being valuable, and you have certain disciplines about you that you should go ahead and live life by. Look, you are special and unique and valuable. What do you have to offer? And those things that are of negative, men change and recreate themselves to become better. That means you're valuable. Money don't constitute your value. Money don't constitute your value. Your spiritual welfare. How you are with people. Are you disciplined? Yes. Do you take care of business? Do you take care of your family, your children? Do you do what you got to do to sacrifice to take care of those that are in your life? Are you responsible? Do you help people? These are all spiritual components that makes you valuable. Not things, not stuff, not degrees, not looks, not know what car you drive, not know where you play. Those are garbage. So let's watch this video real quick of Kevin Samuels on what a value woman is. And our sisters got tripped up on that one. Let's take a look to see what he has to say on this.
Her mindset is smart, cooperative, and agreeable. Why did I put smart in there? Men don't want a pretty Barbie doll that's stupid, a vacuous, empty vessel just to have sex with. She has to be smart. She's teaching the kids. She's the counselor. A woman of value is a value counselor. The last line of defense against stupid shit. So she can't be anything other than smart and cooperative and agreeable. That's why her mindset is important. She's fit. She's disciplined, discerning, and dedicated in and out. She's feminine, affectionate, accommodating with a subtle sophistication. And she's naturally nurturing, carefree, loving, easygoing. She's overall light. There is not a woman is like this that is not of value to a man. And in that, I didn't say a gosh darn thing about how she looks. But a woman like that has a giving spirit. That means whatever she has,
She brings it to you and allows you to use it for the benefit of you and everybody else in the family.
Those are some great points, because now you're talking spiritual. Like he said, it's not about the looks. It's not about the looks. But if he said, if you are a valuable woman, then that is one of the attractions that a high value man would want. Let me say this right here. Yes, the spiritual component of a woman is what makes her valuable. Man, if you watching, have you ever met a woman that you said, man, she's beautiful, but her attitude, her character is nasty. She's snooty, snobbish, arrogant, overly confident. And every time you look at her, your face go, you frown every time you see this type of woman. You'll see this type of woman and you frown. No different than you women. You see a guy might be handsome, good looking, and all this right here, and his attitude is just terrible, nasty, overly confident. He's narcissist, or he might be, filled with ego and pride. This is where, when you really get to the person you want to fall in love with, when you see the spiritual components, it changes the looks, it changes the amount of money, because then you're like, this woman or this man has something that I've been looking for. They have a heart of gold. And so don't let nobody box you in by definitions. Don't let nobody hold you to the fire that you only can be what they define what is, and for you to feel as though that you have achieved, accomplished, or you feel you look good and all this other things right here. I'm gonna tell you, when he talks about Beyonce being, 8s and all the other women who might be 9s and 10s, when I look at them without being made up, they're regular. But majority of women are regular women. You only have a small percentage who we will all agree who has a certain look about them that is very pleasing. Scripture says fair. For the rest of us, 90-something% of the people, 99% of the people, look, it's just average. In a sense of, what that means is that we are all together in the group of just being humans. We don't have to find anything to make ourselves better than other person. Ooh, look at his nose. Look at her eyes. Look at their teeth. Look at their hair. Because that's what people do. They want to always blah, blah, I can't even get that out. Set themselves up to where they are better than someone. And so Kevin Samuels, again, only spoke to the 3% high earners in what he said his clients were looking for, or even across the board. But he was never talking about you. And that's the pool we have the advantage in. Because, yes, the more you have that you are able to achieve, you might be more, attractive to people. And you can go across each category of classes to go seek out maybe what you're looking for. But it doesn't mean that you're better than. You just have more options. So for those who are watching real quick, just type in hi, hello, thanks, whatever it is. Give a thumbs up, a like, because I'm coming to a close. And I appreciate each and every one of you all who come across this video, because this was not by chance, coincidence, or accident that you just stopped by for a moment to hear what I had to say. but I hope it has motivated and encouraged you to uplift your spirits. So many people's spirits are down today. A lot of people, they think they are less value. They think they have nothing to offer. They think that, that they're nothing, which is far from the truth. We all have something of value. Who dares to go ahead and just send a hello? Who's high value? Who agrees with what I say? Somebody put in the chat, hey, I agree. And then I bid you all farewell as I go ahead to this close and on to the next subject that I'll be doing. I want to do, I watched a video of this woman called Ask Ashley. She's about promoting and upbuilding the women. And some interesting things that I took note that how when I saw her do a video of these women and they were asking her how they were going out that night and they were showing their dresses and their outfits and how happy they were. And it just made me realize that, wow, where most would judge based upon how they look, their weight, outfit, they're still loving beings, y'all. And we all have a right to go out, enjoy ourselves, and be happy. With that, family, this is Papa Roo coming at you. And I say peace, love, happiness to each and every one of y'all. Thank you, LB, for saying hi. I appreciate your hello and all that there. Stay tuned as this channel grows, and it's going to grow. My other channel grew to 340,000 subscribers and still growing. But this is something that we can build off of. This is something that we can go ahead and chew off of. I got a lot I can share. 60 years old. And like I said, hopefully my website will be up in another month. For those who wants to use my time to be able to pick my brain in areas, you can call in. This is the Ask Any Question here to me. If you have any concern, problem, issue, just to get another perception from a man that very few of us men who are at least of elders and have some sense are hard to find from a man's perspective. We got the women out there, but the men, it's time for us to go ahead and start building our families back together again. With that, I'm out, y'all. Peace and blessings.